It's been quite a very interesting week, a week where we've seen a lot of things happening. The grand national government, of course, is now here. The nominees, a new police commissioner, or do we call him IG? Kenya politics have really changed, shift, turns. It's like good marriage, bad marriage, and everything goes. I'm your host, Charles Otieno, alongside the pretty ones.
That must be me. I'm the prettiest. Mirror, mirror on the wall.
Who's the fairest?
Who is the fairest
of them all?
Dr. C. Best known for Samantha's Bridal, the platform that helps you navigate and truly celebrate life's greatest moment, and more recently, Samantha Wines. Thank you, because we're selling.
We're selling?
Yes.
Big time.
Big time.
Ah.
And yes, and wife to one
Mother.
husband. Yes, and mama and
My name is Wanja Maina. I am Kenyan. I work with young people in low-income neighborhoods to positively empower them socially and economically.
Cool. Thank you, Wanja. Karibu
Welcome.
sana.
Sana.
Welcome.
we are happy to have you.
Asante.
Yeah, and we are so glad that you're here.
Thank you.
And keep empowering me. And I am Maria. Guys, let me tell you something. Marriage is a scam. You see, when you want to go anywhere, do you tell your husband, communicate with your husband, or inform your husband? That one you'll read in Marriage is a Scam. I am an author of Marriage is a Scam and Love the Original You. I also do a kids magazine, and I work out, as you can see. Welcome to the show.
The irony is that she's married and happily married. So marriage is a scam is only the book. Not, don't think that she's not married.
I'm actually trying to remove the fake notion of marriage from the society. It's a beautiful thing.
So
if
Okay.
you get into it with the right perspective.
So we should not judge a book
Dr.
by its
C
cover.
here,
Yeah.
I've been married to one man.
For how long?
Yes.
And it's fun. I'm at year 7 right now.
Yes.
Yeah,
it's a
I'm
lot
at
of
year
fun,
7.
honestly.
For how
If
long,
I were
Dr.
to
C?
do
Yours?
almost 30.
Wow.
I just renewed
Your
my
vows
vows.
the other day.
And they were so
The other day.
beautiful.
Yes, oh, it was the most beautiful. Actually, it was such a beautiful time.
Did you cry?
Me nilie.
Did you cry?
Mimi,
Yeah.
You're supposed to.
You're supposed to love.
But on my wedding day,
Yes.
let me tell you something. I was so scared, the real wedding day. I was so scared. See, I was walking down the aisle, and then when I reached almost close to the altar,
Yes.
the priest said, "This is not a fairy tale. No, not a fairy tale. What are these movies on the TV? It's not a soap opera. It's reality." And then for some reason, the
Yes.
reality hit me. So we were meant to be going and lighting a candle.
Yes.
And my hand was going like this. I could not light the candle. Oh, my husband laughs at me every day. It's so hilarious. You know, me crying. No, I
You don't cry?
No, I don't.
The funny thing about me is I cry on every finale of anything I watch.
Oh.
Yeah, if
So
I
are you
watch
going to cry
anything
for
on
Real
finale,
or Real Housewives?
it depends. Will you make it
I'm
cry?
gonna make a really good speech.
Yeah, so I cry on every finale of every show I watch. I'm a crier. Like, but my mental health is okay, so I've let it out with tears.
Wanja, why you?
You know, like, it's just like me, like, even when I was young, and you know, like, crying, even when we were young, you are like a softie. But I used to cry now, I used to cry when I'm hiding, because when you cry in the public, and it just so happened that when I was in school, I was the youngest and the smallest. So it's like you're already on the spotlight. So when you cry, it sort of reinforces that, you are turning daughter, like you're 12, you're in class 8. So, sometimes you hide it, but certainly, I don't think that it's a sign of weakness or anything, but...
Me, actually, my nickname is Malia. Yeah.
Oh, Maria Malia.
Malia.
Mama Lia. So anyway, ladies, let's dig deep into it. For the last 2 weeks, of course, we said that the politics of Kenya has really changed. And the genesis of this change has always been the Gen Z. The Gen Z has done a good job. They've wanted to restart reset the country into a positive way. They wanted to make sure that Kenyans actually have the benefit of and get what what they deserve. For example, they said that we need to kill corruption, we need to finish with have a good accountability and all this. But all of a sudden, the political class regrouped as usual, and you can see that what the Gen Z were agitating for might not be completed the way we anticipated. Because of course the last one, you know, we were saying someone has to go. Watu lazima waanguke. But there's a scholar who said that if good people do not get into politics, bad people will. What is your view, ladies?
I will start. This is really, really true. Because in Kenya, for the longest time, we have vilified politics. And the truth is, when I was growing up, politicians were the poorest people. I remember the Martin Chikukus of this world. They were like, and then one day somebody woke up and decided that we need to pay these politicians a lot of money so that corruption may end. The original politicians we had in Kenya, they were not thirsty for money, at least most of them. And therefore, people got into politics to make real change. And then for the longest time, you know, with the Moi era, there was no real change one could make until Saba Saba happened. So people fought for basic freedoms like speech, like free media, like, and now it has become such that politics was something you didn't even want to be associated with. But to be fair enough, there were jobs in Kenya where you could get other jobs. But now politics has become a place where people actually go to become rich. And now, talking of, if we don't get into politics, bad people will. I think that is so instructive. Especially I'm talking to business people. I'm talking to people of good standing in the society. As we are shying away from politics, we are letting these other people who know nothing about business, they're going to legislate on business because all the business people don't even want to be associated with politics, don't want to be in politics, and then you begin to complain. So that is why, as business people, we must get into politics. And in getting into politics, get in there because you want to self-actualize. And in self-actualizing, I don't think younger and younger, you've been in the business, you understand where it hurts, so you go there to make positive change. Even church leaders need to now get into politics so that we can actually go to actualize. So I truly submit that it is true that if bad people, what was the question again?
If good people don't get into politics, bad people will
Bad
do.
people will. And there is a rumor that one of our past leaders, I will name who is, whatever, because he couldn't deal with the business. They said, you're the one who is not concerned with business. Now we'll donate you for politics. But to be fair, because the family is in business, they understand business. I think he got very good counsel from the family. A good example is the Kibaki time. There was real change. There was money in Kenya. You guys actually, there was money. And because he was a businessman and an economist, we saw the change he made in Kenya. He was not just over doing a lot of the things we are seeing being done. And it's one of the most prosperous, I dare say, periods in the history of this country. So good people, let us get into politics and make real change.
For me, I would say, during nomination, those business people are the ones that nominate these bad leaders. Because we don't hear of nomination of someone like me to go and vie, just saying. So when you find that these people, the people who are nominated are not good because they will come with promises of the things you need. More like we need to also stop believing what we are told in form of the values we will have when we help them get into power, because sometimes the crooked ones are the ones who will feel like, I need to convince this and this and this, the corporates, the business people, these big people who can get me into nomination because they have a way to do that. And I will just tell them that their businesses will run smoothly. I will empower them in one way or another. I will make things easy for them. And then come to this now, the common mwananchi with simple favors, and that's how they get into power. So good people should show up more on nomination, and a lot of us, some of us, should be there to nominate the people we feel are good. We don't just wait for them during election, because when we are given the list of selecting the people we want to lead us, they are already selected from the nomination level. Now they are somewhere whereby they need votes to just win. They don't need to be told, now you're not going into politics, you're not vying. But when, if they are vying, the crooked are vying because we nominated them because of the favors they promised us. Even if we thought they would not win, we've not put good people up there. We should be the first people to put good people into power from the nomination stage, so that when they get up there, we can vote for them. Because bad people know their way around. Good people, and how do we know if they're good, by the way?
You have to be representing certain interests. Because in the world, there is the different political interests that if you nominate someone, so you see people, but there's other people actually behind. So you
Yes.
always must ask, who is backing them? Look at the people backing them. Some people are being backed by gangsters
And
drug
and they are the
lords
ones who
and-
back nominees.
Yes. So you always must check who is contributing to your political budget. And in other countries, I don't know in Kenya if it is, but at least in the US, it is that you have to be transparency in who is contributing to your politics. That's an indicator. Some indicators in other economies, they use things like a good family. What have you done? Your CV. We need to look at your CV. But in Kenya, politics has become so dirty that good people are staying away.
Very
Like
true.
the fights, like the abductions, the things that really go on.
And if you can't implement change, because if someone who is above you does not want the change, there's nothing you can do. So even if you're good, you should start by the one who should be good is number one.
Well, for me, good people, bad people in politics, there's a phrase that was used quite a lot in the 50s and in the 60s by the feminists. And they were saying that personal is political. And the personal is political. And over the years, the phrases have been used to sort of show us that what is happening to your personal life is a sort of a reflection of the politics and the environment around you. And why I think Kenyans are always avoiding politics or acting as if they exist outside of the politics, it is because sometimes we don't sit down and actually try to personalize our experiences in regards to our politics. Take an example of the time you take from your home to town. And then you take a close look at the roads from your home to town. You would actually realize that if you lobbied your local area, if that road is made, you will spend 20 minutes less every day. Now that's personal. And then cumulatively, within a year, see the amount of hours you'll have saved. As long as we do not personalize our politics, we'll always think that it's a reserve of the others. The other day, I was somewhere with my friends, and there was a Gen Z. Me, I'm a supporter of the Gen Z. I was supporting them in a big way, in spirit, and even in words and action. Now, when we were seated there, my friends are a bit older, and I'm the one who was almost relatable with the Gen Z. And they kept patronizing the Gen Z, and now that was in the wake of the protest and how they are doing their digital activism. So I remember them really pushing the Gen Z. Wewe unatuambia na unaishi kwa mama yako. That's what they were telling the young man in the where we were. And I remember now coming into the conversation to support the Gen Z and telling them, you cannot look down upon the experiences of these Gen Z simply because they are not working or they are living with their parents. You are forgetting that their school fees has increased and that will affect the economic of their home. You are forgetting that this Gen Z with the pocket money, if they buy a packet of chips at 200, now they will be buying at 250. And even by sneezing or taking an online taxi, the tax will go high, and therefore the politics of the country is affecting a Gen Z even though they don't have an income. And I was also against them patronizing the Gen Z, telling them, when mdogo, you know, I'm like your mother. No, this is a Gen Z who is young, but it's a citizen and holding the state to their account. So I do agree with all that. Over time, people who are polished and people who are, they call themselves middle class, have always avoided the politics. And you can even tell by the common talk in the street, ati mimi, watching in news, mimi politics ya Kenya hapana. But the day we personalize and we appreciate that the experiences around us, the other day the finance bill wanted to tax insulin. Therefore, you have to say that my parent who has diabetes, my aunt who has diabetes, from now henceforth, the amount of support we have been given will double or triple. Then, as soon as you politicize the, personalize the politics, then you'll appreciate that you have to be political in one way or the other. Either by you being voted, but also holding into account au kusalimia mheshimiwa wako from time to time. Yeah.
I think you've really put it up very well. But I always say that politics is about three things. Politics is about power, influence, and money. And we have a very vibrant constitution, which if we tried to live through the architecture and the spirit of our constitution, then we would not have bad politicians. But the problem is that our constitution is written, but we do not live the spirit of our constitution. We don't even follow the architecture of our constitution. What do I mean? The architecture of our constitution is that on chapter 6 is about how someone should behave and about all those bad, good and bad. And you know that we talk about the chapter 6 has been, if we enforced that chapter 6 about your finances, how you get your money and good conduct and all that, then bad people would be bad. But it has never been the same because our system and the spirit is that we've always found a way of cutting corners to have those people with cases, corruption and all that still vying. So our constitution, which is a very good document, has never helped us in that regard because these politicians, when they're looking for influence, and that's where Dr. C was talking about these interest groups. So some people in the interest groups do not even consider that this man has 10 corruption cases, this man has stolen the school land, has stolen what. And then there is the issue of power. People are looking for power. So they do not care whether they will crush you on the way or not. And then the poor people cannot afford to get in these places. Many people who are very good politicians, because of the registration and the money required and even to run around, it has been so difficult. A few of them can get there by miracle because no one will donate you. For you to run for an MP in this country nowadays, you need around 200 million on the lower side. A governor, if you don't have 800 million, you cannot get it.
So that's stealing.
You need to have around 800 because you need to do rallies, you need to. So our politics have become too expensive for anyone else who might have an interest, but genuinely, you cannot traverse a country on foot. You must have a big car, you must have people to help you walk around, you must have campaign material. So it has become a whole business. And that's why the political class, if you look at this country, will always remain the same. And that's what the Gen Zs were trying to change. We are trying to say that let's have new faces in cabinet, new faces in government, new faces in parliament. But it is so difficult to get these people through the door. Extremely difficult. because the good ones are either corrupted or the political class will always come together. All of a sudden, the president, who was on a very down spiral path, has reached out to the opposition leader, and now he's sitting pretty, very pretty. And I can tell you from this and next week, the president will be on top of the vehicles again.
We are back into campaign season.
We are back.
He'll be back on the top
But
of the
we've
vehicles.
been on campaign season since he took the presidency.
So the day after the Gen Z had actually pushed them out of the vehicles and flying all over the world, I can tell you they'll be back, because now they've bought for themselves something, what we call that they can now sit, and because the constituencies are, those tribal constituencies are happy, you know, people can just continue with their life. My problem is that we need to address, for our politics to move forward, we need to address accountability. Our Kenyan government must be accountable to people. That issue of pushing things under the carpet has to go. We have to deal with corruption, because even these tenders, today you can't get a tender unless you know someone or you will not be paid. And the government must pay people who supply the government. There are many, many people who are dying because of their money being held by the government. Yet the government, you take a loan, you go supply, you are not paid for 5 years. You get bankrupt, your houses are sold. So our government has been very insensitive to the public and actually to the people.
Yeah.
So we need to reassess our values as a system and reset this country and allow poor people to get into politics as well.
But you know, politics is expensive all over the world. And politics, a good friend of mine explained to me the other day, in political science study, that politics is about sharing of resources. And therefore, I think it goes to the old adage, even in the Bible, even the little that we have will be taken away. Yeah, those who have, it will be added. It's biblical. I remember in my organic chemistry, there was the phenol ring, the one that has the highest number. Is it carbons or hydrogens or oxygen?
I didn't study chemistry, but carry on.
For me, it was
Hydrogen.
years ago in organic chemistry. So it's really, truly the same. Politics is always very expensive. And, but therefore, there's been a couple of people who've managed to defy that. There was a young man who was campaigning on a Nduthi.
The Meru guy.
Yeah. He got in, and after that, I don't know what happened to him. But so let's not cheat each other. Politics is always very expensive, and it's going to get more and more expensive. And therefore, it is we, the citizens, to think about that unga you're receiving. You know, these politicians going around with handouts. Refuse the handouts.
Yeah.
Why would you sacrifice? In Kenya, actually, it's just that. It's not even logistics. It is the handouts, you guys. Yeah? They come with a packet of unga, with 5 bob, whatever. If you don't give those things, then you're not winning. But just imagine you're sacrificing your future, the future of your children, the future of your generations, just with a packet of unga. Choose to select somebody who is actually going to work for you, who will represent you well. I don't think some Kenyans actually stop to think about the cost of the 5 shillings, the 50 shillings you will receive during election campaigns. In fact, that is what we need to campaign against, handing out those things. Is it not even illegal? No.
It's illegal. It's an
It's illegal.
electro to bribe
offense.
and to
an
even
electro
get people. It's an electro offense. But you know, the nature of such things is that because of the informality and the chaos around politics, if you report that I am your competitor but I have bribed, I'll say that you are using that to malign me so that you can get ahead of the step. But CEO, when you say that we have to get poor people into the politics, it does not necessarily mean that poor people will make good leaders. We have seen people who have risen. Now that we were talking earlier about rising to fame, people who rose to fame because of selling chicken, mandazi, and other things. I've not mentioned nobody, but it doesn't necessarily mean over time they have had the
values.
the heart of the chicken
I
sellers.
agree with you 100%.
And
yes.
remember, this very government that
Bottom up.
majenzi wanashukanga nayo, they started with the hustler narrative.
Actually.
So they were galvanizing around the poor people and saying, resonate with me, I grew up without shoes. For me, it's not a question of how you grew up, about your parents, about your poverty or not, because you could be poor, but you really hate poor people. So you are hoping that you get out of that poverty so that
And
you can
sit on
enrich
other
yourself and remember how you used to
Suffer.
not to eat. So for me, I would say that we have to rewrite the prerequisites first. We say, demonstrate to us, do this, do that, chapter 6, nini, all those things, without really looking at those subjective measurements like poverty, really, because it has been proven over and over that it doesn't necessarily mean that people will make into good leaders.
In light of, we are talking about power. Political people are powerful people and they've taken it by force. We are taking a short break and we'll be right back on Let's Be Real.
Welcome back. We've had a very good first part of this show. Of course, the politics, and it reminded me of Macbeth. And if you read Shakespeare, you've read in Macbeth, there's a quote there where the old Macbeth tells Frodo that there's no art to find the mind's construction in the face in our politics. Read that book, Dr. C. There's no art to find mind's construction in the face.
Okay. That's very, is that a gift for me to give the next story?
Yes.
This one? Yeah, it's true. There is no, you're always very complicated. Mine is about actually a complication in the society.
Yes.
The doctor who fell off the balcony from the 8th floor of his building. His apartment block, actually. And now we are asking, is it mental health or is it an indication of the current economic situation that's going on?
Actually, it's both. It's both because doctors have been going through a lot lately. And also, it could be the current economic situation. Remember, you're a doctor. Your parents took you to school and they expect you, because the things are bad, to help maybe your younger sibling or maybe to help someone. So, and you are here, you don't have anything after the hard work you put, and we all know being a doctor is not easy. And the fact that their pay does not match the life they're expected to live, because as doctors you run so long shifts and you work so hard. And this is a guy, and the story says that he called his girlfriend first, and the girlfriend actually says that he was in distress. Maybe he talked about it to the girlfriend, but he didn't feel understood. And in the area whereby you feel so much pressured, you don't know what to do, and we realize that the rate of suicide in men is actually higher than women, because women have devised maybe the tantrums, they always know how to speak their feelings mostly, and sometimes they know how to, like we said last time, women can take themselves to the hospital. Men rarely do that. They find it is treated as a sign of weakness when they do that. So the mental health situation, it's a topic that we talk about on the show like so many times, and we're not going to stop talking about it. But if there is a way that people can find courage to seek help when things get to the corner, it will actually reduce the rate of suicide in this country. Because a 30-year-old man is a man who is just starting his life. The pressure that he might have been going through for him to do that, or the economic situation whereby he's expected to give more than he himself can provide for himself, that is a discussion that should not stop in this country. Mental health awareness should be something that we scream about, we talk more about, we keep mentioning and articulating it enough for people to understand that it's a very big problem that is taking away our men.
Building on that, Maria and Dr. C, really, first to send my condolences and just God help the family. And I remember there was a task force by the government about mental health in Kenya, and I remember I went into one of the meetings, And one of the survivors of the mental health, I know the sensitivity around the topic, said that when how the reporting of such an issue or how it's handled also contributes into how people with mental health feel. For example, the expert told us that we should never say commit suicide, we should say death by suicide. Now, when we use those words that are sensitive, we take mental health as any other disease. The same way, like when I can trip here and break my leg, you'll get me to Imaradaima clinic somewhere, should be the same way that mental health is treated as a disease. That said, you have tied it to the economic state of the country. There is a strong correlation between inability to meet basic needs, have a job, have money, and mental health. And as Maria is saying, now the men thing come to mind, where men maybe are expected to be more into the leadership of the home and man up, as the word is used. But lastly, our government really, and it's incumbent upon them because they are the ones who should provide public goods. I always ask two questions. If someone has a mental health problem here, there should be a way where they know where to seek for help in those public facilities. As it were now, with the problem with the NHIF and the problem with the government insurance, you find that those who can access mental health support are mostly those who have the internet, where you can see what the bloggers are telling us and the places they are plugging us into, or people who can afford private care. The private care for a therapist, even for a virtual call, according to what I know, should be around 2,000 shillings a session. Then that's a certain economic class. But I'm also looking at it this way. The person who had that tragedy is a medic. So we are not talking about your average young person here. This is a person who has already interacted with medicine and healthcare. But then again, they could be even having a problem with mental health. So mental health seems to be a very neglected area, and an area that is so not talked about, a lot of silence and secrecy around it, even in the medical field, even with people who already are doctors or in that field. So for me, I've always said it's breaking the silence, but in making sure that those who are breaking the silence around mental health know where to seek for the help, which should be affordable, if not free.
So, what do I want to say? I want to say that, first of all, just because he was a medical doctor, we tend to uplift to certain professions too much than the others. I think I've talked about it here on this platform. I think every profession is a profession. So when we put certain pressures on ourselves, just because I have a DR on my name, I'm expected to drive a certain car, live in a certain... These are pressures we are putting on ourselves. So what do I want to say? I want to say that people should... number one, if you feel you're low for certain reasons, there's mental health that comes to you because it's caused from the environment. There's one that is inherited, and there's the one that comes out of the environment. It's true, if you cannot meet your economic, financial obligations, then that becomes a problem. If something becomes too much, talk to somebody. Talk to someone. And that's why a lot of us are usually very open. We talk about our issues. Just talk to someone. And because not everybody has it together. People just look like they have it together. And especially now for young people, because so as a young person, social media is just making it very difficult. We are benchmarking ourselves based on what our friends have done, what they haven't done, and all that. Just stick to your lane. Don't let, when you think of how the people who have really put you there in terms of your family and all that, so talk to someone. The first person, obviously, if you cannot talk to somebody, see a psychiatrist. The psychiatrist will be able to tell the severity of the situation, because in this country, sometimes people are locked up seeing a psychologist, or I'm not saying it's wrong, but sometimes you're just busy there, but actually maybe it's an organic problem that needs to be dealt with by medication. Yeah. So see a psychiatrist who will tell you if it's just a counseling you need, or you actually perhaps need to get on medication. It would be, and there should be no shame. There's no shame if you're The mind is a body organ, like the kidney. So if you have a kidney stone, will you not go and see a physician?
A doctor.
You will.
If you have a heart problem, you will go and see a doctor. So if you feel an ease in the brain is a body organ. And it gets into, in fact, it gets also in problems like any other organ. So there's no shame in that. Yeah, if you see a friend struggling, chip in and help.
I think you've said everything, and I want to make it very short because of time. There's a book we say when the entire madness of an entire nation disturbs a solitary mind, it's not that someone is mad. This country has a lot of problems, and those problems can dovetail into individuals. It is good for every Kenyan, wherever you are, to safeguard your mind. That's what I mean. Safeguard your mind. Do not fall for pressures. And if you get sick, the way Dr. C has said, or Maria or Wanja, seek medical advice. Because that's the only way out. But the pressures are too many. Just sit down and know that these things can befall anyone. Can befall anyone, but don't follow social media. When you see Maria wearing that beautiful color, she has struggled for it. Don't think it's always easy, so that you judge yourself against everything you see on the social media. Everyone has his own time, and you'll always get your breakthrough.
Speaking of pressures, stress, things that come in the way, imagine this. You're in a plane, you're in a flight. You've entered nicely, you're ready to travel, and then the flight attendants come and tell you to stop, to wake up from your seat. Why? Because a senior government official has also come to the plane and they have to leave, and therefore you have to give seat now. There's no room for negotiation. There's no room for being told that this is the next option. You just amka, leave the seat. The senior politicians has come, and this happened to a passenger on an Ethiopian airline, and it has also happened to us in our small ways, being kicked out of the way when the big ministers' cars with sirens are passing, being seated in a public gathering and you're told to stop in an embarrassing way so that they can sit. What is this all about? Have you ever had such an experience, and do you think that surely politicians and some people in society are put more at a pedestal than others, and is it even fair?
That would be an election issue. Let me tell you, if I was that person,
Drama.
you would have had to like kill me. No, obviously would never have picked on me. But that said, you see, that is exactly the problem ailing Africa. That is the problem, that we are elevating these people. They don't even know what potholes are. They don't know what traffic jams are. They don't know. When they are sick, they go to private hospitals. They don't go to public hospitals. So they don't know what the problems are. And that's why that country, it was Ethiopia, they are at war.
Yeah.
Are you surprised? If those are the kind of leaders they have in other countries, if it was Europe, I'm not saying they don't have their own problem. If it was America, first of all, it can't happen. Number two, it would be a huge election issue. People would scoff at you, like completely. And that person, that politician should just be, what's called? And somebody said, anyway, we need to return shame in this society.
Yeah.
There was one politician who is now very senior in government, and shame on us Kenyans, who was trying to board a plane to go to Mombasa. And for some reason, the plane, the check-in person insisted, we need to see your ID. And he insisted and abused everybody, but he was still not let in. You know, there are people who hold their, and in a time in Kenya when it was a nice society, when Nancy Baraza, even right now I'm wondering, why did she even resign? She looks like an angel. Right now she's an angel because she pinched someone's nose.
Allegedly.
Allegedly pinched someone's nose, and she resigned. She should have never resigned. Seeing by the quality, the caliber of politicians we have, she was a saint. She was literally a saint.
You know, when I don't know where I take offense in this minister seeing that this girl is going through all this and he's quiet and is not saying a thing. It's shame on him. Like, that could be your sister, your wife, your daughter. Why would you keep quiet at your expense for someone to just be thrown out of the plane because you walked in? It's actually inhuman. Now it's not even political, it's inhuman.
And the passengers.
And the passengers are there recording. First of all, open your mouth and tell this man, grow up. Because this was wrong on all angles. And I feel like if these people shamed this minister enough, he would have stood up, or maybe they would have known who not to elect the next time. Because right now he's seated somewhere on a pedestal feeling like I had power, nobody asked me or questioned me. That woman was begging. That's what he feels. Shame on him.
There should have been citizen policing.
Yes.
The problem is not even just with that minister. Even if the people sit.
Yes, stop taking your phone to record first. Tell that man stand up and record while he tells you no.
You know,
That's what we need to know.
it's very interesting that, but you know, African Airlines, apart from Kenya Airways, most African Airlines, who has flown to Nigeria, for example?
Through Kenya Airways, the
Yes.
pride of Africa. And by the way, guys,
but
it's really
have
the
you
pride of Africa.
left, for example, Lagos, Mohammed Murtala Airport?
Yes, it's
And
like
you-
a matatu station.
yes.
I was going to Bamako, Mali.
Yes.
Oh my God! Somebody
So-
enters
so I
with a
was just-
huge meat like this.
Yes, so I just wanted to tell you that before we
Honestly.
before we put our standards to other people's countries, I want to be very careful that if you've traveled, and if you've traveled across Africa, for example, if you leave Mohammed Murtala Airport and you're flying to Margaret Akpo Airport in Calabar, your seat is indicated number 7. You'll find a woman seated or a man is sitting on your seat and you can't move him. The disorganization I'm trying to talk about has been so bad in some countries that that seat number on the plane means nothing. So Ethiopia has just taken it a notch higher, that now they're actually bumping someone off a flight. It's preposterous. Remember that the biggest race and civil rights movement was started by Rosa Parks in United States, when a white man tried to tell her to move to the back of the cabin of the vehicle. And she refused. And that's when Martin Luther King and the Alabama movement started. It is totally wrong in all ways to see someone trying to kick you out. But we need to realize that African airlines must have standards.
Yeah.
We must have standards, especially for Ethiopian Airlines and other airlines. The Nigerian Airlines, those ones are foregone conclusion. Those ones I don't even talk
But the
about because
population is high.
anyone can
Would you
sit
actually
in
board a Nigerian airline?
anyone can sit on your seat and you cannot tell them anything. Actually, there is no decorum. That one I know for sure. So that one I don't mind. But let's have order. Order is good.
Yeah, and there should be there should be an economic cost to bad behavior, because that way it will act as a deterrent. Now imagine if many people boycott the airline, it will eat into their profits. And thank God even for the one who recorded,
If we
because the
had
whole
choices, we could actually boycott.
yeah, if we had
Could
choices,
actually boycott.
yeah.
But
Outside of Ethiopian Airlines,
there's nothing I can do.
Kenya Airways.
You know,
There's nothing we can do.
you see the
as
Ethiopian
Kenyans
airline
right now.
is cheaper.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Kenya Airways is too expensive. That's
Kenya
why
Airways is
people
expensive.
go, and the Ethiopian airline is the biggest airline in Africa because of the fleet,
The
connections, and also the pricing.
Speaking of Ethiopian airline, actually, I had an experience. I was in Ethiopia like 2 months ago. So, like when you're traveling and you are a passenger with limited mobility, there's some sort of special consideration where they can give you wheelchair assistance, or you have to check in earlier, or there's some sort of assistance. So I got there. It was nice until now. It seems like there is a big expansion plan in terms of flights and fleet, but there's no expansion plan in terms of customer service, sensitivity, and even how to handle such a passenger, for example. So I remember they came in a hurry, like during now my departure to the flight to Nairobi. Like I think I was the one who was being waited in the flight, yet I had presented myself towards Alia, and we ran. I was like, if he misses one step, I'm going to roll over the wheelchair assistance thing. And I was feeling so unsafe, and he was running through the airport. And then I was like, this is just an issue of poor planning, because if there could be a coordination where passengers with limited mobility present themselves earlier, then the handling is better. So yeah, it's just, for me, I see it as a customer service issue, an attitude issue, and even how the soft issues around the airline industry. Yeah.
The final story, which is going to be short actually, there's a lady who fell in love and then went to the guy's home. The guy's parents actually said that that man is a no-go zone. But the woman still went, took her savings, financed her wedding, only to be cheated on by the man. Yes, shame should come back in the society. What do you think?
What? Is that where we say wait?
But she was warned. She was warned, and this is just a case closed. Suffer the consequences.
Yeah.
Na hiyo iliwe funzo kwa hao na hao wengine.
You don't take your savings.
Because first of all, I have one policy when it comes to men and women relationships. Women should only marry a man who is truly, madly, deeply in love with you, because a man will never grow to love you. There is no amount of money you can spend on a man to love you. There isn't, like, he either loves you or loves you not. Okay? On the other hand, women can actually grow to love a man. So yeah, if he's a good provider, he's a good father, he's got good genes, maybe you can grow to love him, but never the other way around. So save your money.
He actually was not a good provider. Genes, we are not sure, because
why
he
would you
cheated
spend on such? She's not okay.
How do you take all your savings and then finance your wedding? And I always feel like it's sometimes give a man responsibility to get you. You don't take your savings to do that.
But you know what? Anyway, I know. On that note, about the wedding, I know so many girls who really just want to wear
the white gown.
The white gown. So
Yeah.
it's never, in fact, it is not about the man.
It's about the white gown.
First of all, it's the pressure from the society. They just want to be seen. We had a wedding. The good girl. Remember, they don't get the corner office. You just want to be a good girl because now you had a wedding to, like, validate yourself. Secondly, you just want that Cinderella moment. These Cinderella stories, they've really spoiled this society.
Yeah.
She just wants that Cinderella moment, wear that Cinderella gown and walk down the aisle. And then you wake up and realize, oh my God, the next day, there's bills to be paid, there's all these things. At the end of the day, who did you marry? Yeah, my advice is this: just wear that dress,
And
go and do a photo shoot even
and
in
come
a
back.
church.
Yeah.
And even just, you can do a party on one of your big
And wear the
birthdays.
white dress.
And, yeah.
Actually, you can wear the white dress, and the moment you want, just take a white dress, take a picture with the man, and that's it.
Yes,
Because
go
that is
even
the
in
only
the
memory
studio.
you want. That is the only, spending so much on feeding someone like me who attends your wedding is not going to help you.
Love really is a big emotion. And I think the fact that most of the music, even in the whole world, the best they are in, be soft rock, my favorite, zote zinakuwa, they try to unpuzzle love. Bad things happen. Bad things happen to the best of us.
The good people.
To the
You
good
think she was
people.
in love?
Yes.
You know,
As
just
she
in
was.
the other show, you remember in the other show that I know our viewers will have watched, we talked about the guy who had sent 15 million to a girl he had never met. So even the most logical, even the most straight thinking people, even the lawyers of this world who can do diligence, sometimes they just, if people would have told you their stories. You know, the other day my friend was telling me, if you are to be honest, and then all your exes are told to line behind you, there are some people whom you wouldn't want the world to see lining behind you. That said, women, I also think it's a social cultural issue, whereby women are taught to nurture from a young age. Fanya hivi, take care of everybody. So there is that self-internalization that you can change someone. Because even the family members wake wamesema, that guy is so bad. But that nurturing thing is like nikikuwa na yeye nikimpenda nitamoa and ata change. And lastly, there has always been, unlike the men, for the women there is that biological clock whereby it's visible but not visible. Like finish university or college at 2020, 24, 25, sijui what, by 30 hauna mtoto, how? So I think she was keeping up with the biological clock.
Can I tell you something?
Get married.
Can I tell you something, Wanja? Yes, women are taught to nurture. Parent your children. Stop parenting other people's children. If the parents could not do it themselves, now they have adults in the house, it's not your job. Your job is to parent your own, nurture your own children to have better character than that man you are running after with all your savings.
Okay.
You know, sometimes I wonder when sisi wanaume tukikula kweni nyinyi si mnakula zetu sana. Power to that man.
Okay, for the first time in this show.
Wow.
Let me tell you. Have you seen the beautiful castles men have built for women?
Yeah, thank you.
Like Lord Egerton Castle in Joro.
If you go to India,
Taj Mahal.
Thank
if you go anywhere else,
There is a castle.
Thank you.
there's a castle. Now it is payback time.
Eh.
One.
Oh, we put Kamala Harris in office second.
Yes, it's payback time. Listen, this woman
Then it's
was
payback.
told by the parents of this man, do not marry our son. Isn't it? You've been forewarned. This man, did he force this woman to go and get her savings to build or to do all those things? No, there's no substitute for stupidity. There's no substitute for that.
That's the male version of fair economy.
Yeah, there's no substitute for stupidity when the parents have told you, our son cannot marry you. He has 1, 2, 3 problems. Please, young girl, take off. Then you say, I can change this man. I will build for him. Who is stupid? Power to that man.
But you know what? You reminded me something.
Power to that man.
During my dowry negotiations, on a lighter note before we end.
Yeah.
During my dowry negotiations, 2 things stood out in that. Number
Yeah.
one, they said, do not beat our daughter.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah. You see?
My father was very strict. But
Yeah.
the other one was that
Yeah.
our daughter cannot cook. So if you are expecting a cook, then you are. Actually, it's in the marriage contract.
Yeah.
But you know what? I changed. I cook, but it's a very creative process. But I never feel the pressure of actually having to cook.
Yeah.
So now
It's optional.
So even if you get for one,
yes.
Yeah.
that's it, folks. It's
Yeah.
been beautiful.
It's
It's
been
been
real.
beautiful,
It's
yeah.
been real.
It's been real. Wait.
Yeah. See you next week, guys.
Samantha Wines, now available in all the leading wine stores.